There's no denying the inspiration we can all take from Kobe the basketball player. But for me, I resonate most with Kobe the storyteller. He said one of the most important things you can do in life is learn the art of storytelling. And as a creator myself, I focus on that craft on a daily basis. Whether I'm producing, directing, or taking photos, I'm always telling a story. Mamba mentality means getting better every day. And today and every day, I'm determined to be a better creator. Thank you, Kobe.
I'ma show up, show 'em what I'm made of. I keep pushing, climbing, gonna rise up. I got power, I'm spreading my wings. I got a fire inside. I'm a woman on top.
What's up, beautiful creators? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am excited because I'm kind of switching it up a little bit and going back to the videos that I used to do a lot when I first got on YouTube, which was my editing tutorials and breakdowns. And so I'm excited to kind of get back to it with this particular video / commercial / spec honoring the late Kobe Bryant. One of my friends came to me and was like, hey, let's just have a day of creating. I just got these shoes, these Kobe shoes that they gifted her, and she wanted to do something to honor him for being such an inspiration and motivation in her life. And so we were like, let's just have a creative day and knock it all out. A couple things to note before we actually get started. This is going to be super simple because I didn't do much. But a couple things to note is that I shot this on a Canon C200 at 23.976 frames per second for the whole thing. I did not shoot any of it in slow-mo. I decided not to shoot anything in slow-mo because I realized that a lot of times us as creators, when we think B-roll, we always think it has to be shot in slow-mo, and I kind of wanted to kind of test myself with this and just shoot everything 24 frames per second. I wanted to give more of a real-time vibe, and so I just shot everything the same 23.976. The first thing I would say when it came to this video is because I shot it, I knew exactly how I wanted to edit it. Right when I walked into her house, this was my first time even being in her house. It's very guerrilla style. I didn't even go and see how the house was, nothing like that. I was, working with limited equipment. Sometimes you just got to work with what you got and do what you can, especially if you just want to have fun and create. Don't ever let anything stop you. This is kind of all we had, so we were like, let's just go for it. Okay, so now we're gonna actually get into it. The first shot I knew when I walked into her house. I love her setup. She's such a dope creative. She's an LA photographer, and I just loved how she had this wide shot. I knew I wanted this to be the first shot to establish where we were and just the overall feel of the commercial. And so you see her just sitting and she's writing, and you have this cinematic vibe of the music. She automatically starts talking about being inspired. It all just kind of plays into exactly what we want the viewer to feel and to see. So I love this wide shot. I just thought it was dope. And so the song choices I actually got from MusicBed, and then the sound effects I usually get from Epidemic. I feel like MusicBed has more of the commercial music that I look for, and then Epidemic has a lot of YouTube vibes, which is great. Just knowing when to use what. I have subscriptions with both of them, but for this particular commercial, I did go more for MusicBed because I felt like what I was looking for, that commercial aspect, they gave me all of that, and I honestly really just love MusicBed. And then when it comes to her audio, because I didn't have my recorder, I had left my recorder. She actually recorded this on her phone, so of course it's not the best audio, but again, using what you have. So she just recorded it on her phone and sent it to me. We don't really even live in close proximity, so it was kind of one of them things where, well, we shot it, let's just do what we can, get the audio recorded, boom. So yes, the first shot right off the bat is her sitting, and she's writing down in her notebook. I didn't shoot a lot because I don't like to have too much footage that I know I'm not going to use. So I knew exactly the shots that I wanted, and I went for it. And so the second shot is like more of a rack and focus. As you can see, it starts with the book, and then it goes to like her being in the background, and you see that. I'm going to mute this so it's not too loud. And then I did add like this film junk effect on there to kind of give like this more gritty feel. That was the vibe that I wanted to go for, like this more film grainy vibe for this particular project. So I added like the film junk, and then we kind of show the book itself, and that's gonna kind of like be the thing that leads us into what this whole commercial is about. And then we kind of cut back to another shot of her writing. I did have other shots, like we got this shot of the top, but I felt like after editing it, sometimes, you know, when you're creating a story, you have these shots that you really like and you really want to use, but you don't want to put too many cuts or do too much pacing wise. So I felt like this was a shot that wasn't necessarily needed, so I ended up not using it. And so we just got like the shot of, you know, her writing again on a more close-up frame. And then we use the film burn transitions, and I talk about this in my other videos. This is an Old Faithful film burns. Literally, you can go on Google and type in free film burns, and then I found these, and it gives you like 28 film burns. I think I got them from Motion Array. If you check out my other video that talks about all my effects, I specify exactly where I got them from, but this is an Old Faithful. You know, you gotta have film burns in there. So I use the film burn, and this is the first like real effect that I use. You see grain on top of a lot of these shots, and so, you know, I just went in, I put an overlay on them. Same with this is a screen, so you kind of see it, but this is the first time you actually see an effect. And these are these split screen mats that I actually got from Tropic Color. When I first saw them, I knew I wanted to buy them, and this was my first time being able to use them. I felt like it wasn't a point to show these clips individually since they're pretty much the same clip. So this was a perfect opportunity to use this effect to kind of show them all and show, like, you know, the inspirational force behind it, which is her faith, being bold, and her being a photographer. So I just love this. And again, I got it from Tropic Color, added a little bit of grain again for that overlay without the grain. You know, it just kind of like looks a little too clean, and I didn't really want that vibe. So the grain really helped give me the raw and gritty feel that I wanted for this particular video. But shout out to Tropic Color, the buff nerds. And then we get to the next shot, which is one of my favorites. I wanted to also test myself with different angles, low, high, straight in front. I thought it was cool. Originally for this particular shot, we actually have her walk in. So she kind of like walks in, and then she, you know, picks it up. But again, with pacing, you just got to know where, you know, you want to have your in and out marks. And pacing wise, this just felt best to just kind of have her start sitting and she picks it up. So having this shot actually separates it from like her just sitting on this couch at this particular shot and then going to her putting her shoes on. So we have this filler shot to help kind of keep the story going. She picks it up. This is one of my favorite shots. It's a lot of movement, just raw, real time. You see her putting her shoes on. It just kind of gives a completely different vibe. I'm moving the C200 as she puts it on. I really love that. Then you see like a high shot of her, and she's about to tie her shoes. You see the emblems all on the shoe, and then, you know, she's tying it. We go to this Super 8. Now, the thing about the Super 8 is I've had this for a while, so I don't necessarily remember where I actually got it. And I have my grain on there, and then I put a screen for this, you know, Super 8 vibe, and then I put, I think, a multiply to where you can actually see the footage under it. And what I like so much about this shot is you already see the first shot of her, you know, tying her shoe, and I didn't want it to be jarring for the viewer to just cut from her starting to tie her shoe to finishing the other shoe. And so I wanted to kind of create an effect to act as a transition to kind of like speed up the story to where you didn't have to see her finishing tying her shoe or starting her other shoe. And so that's why I put the Super 8 effect. And then I also kind of, just to show it a little bit more, because clearly I cheated and I don't have a Super 8, you know, I didn't shoot with one. And then you kind of see that zoom in effect that you would be able to do on an actual Super 8. And so I just kind of added that with a scale in position just to kind of do a fake zoom in to kind of keep that Super 8 vibe going to the end of the clip. And then we get back to she's done. So she, you know, gets up and you see the shoe and she starts to like walk. This shot wasn't necessarily needed, but I did it because I was trying to show the back of the shoe. If you can kind of look at the original raw files, the pause didn't make sense because it was gonna look weird coming from when she starts to walk already, and I needed her to keep walking. So I could have did without this shot, but I just kept it in just as filler to just kind of like help, you know, with the story and the pacing, but it wasn't necessary. Again, we have that Super 8. This was actually on her fridge. And she is a huge Kobe fan, so all of this is like real. These are her real feelings. And so yeah, we got this. She's talking about mama mentality, so this was perfect to have. She's a creative. It embodies everything that this, you know, video is about. So we have that same Super 8 vibe as well. And then we go to this like flicker effect just to transition into her now getting ready to do her photo shoot and take pictures or whatever it is that she does as a creative. Super, you know, simple and self-explanatory. She's, you know, getting her camera equipment ready and putting it in her bag, closing the bag, and then she does like a last thank you, Kobe. And then you hear the sound effect, which I got for Epidemic, this whoosh sound effect to just kind of give more of a dramatic feel before we get into more of the fun and uplifting and fast-paced vibe, which is the second part of the commercial. Now, I love this. I'll play it, and then you'll be able to see that this one's a little different. So at the beginning, it's very slow, cinematic. The pacing is slow. It's more about the story. And then with this one, it's so upbeat, and the cuts are more to the beat. And so it's kind of helped with a faster pace. And so as you watch it again, you'll see that the cuts are actually going to go to the beat to create this faster pace. So I'll play it, and then we'll talk about just this part real quick.
I'ma show up, show 'em what I'm made of. I keep pushing, climbing, gonna rise up. I got power, I'm spreading my wings. I got a fire inside. I'm a woman on top.
So definitely the beats right off the bat. You see her walking, and it's like really raw. She's walking. Super 8 effect again, super simple. And then we go to like a shot of her camera. Still got the grain on there, you know, to keep that feel. And then again, the Tropic Color mats. So when you purchase the mat, you kind of get like, I think 15 or 20 different mats, and you can kind of choose. So at the beginning, I chose the 3. This one I kind of wanted to show the shoes as well as her shooting and how they coincide with each other. As a creative, she puts these shoes on. She feels inspired. They're Kobe shoes. He's the inspiration kind of thing. And then that Super 8 effect again, where, you know, she's taking photos. We have that film burn again mixed in with the flash. And then it kind of goes to another angle. The transitions are helping me because the clips are very similar, just different angles. So the transitions are actually helping create, have the clip look a little different. So then we have a raw feel of me stepping back, and she's pointing with the camera. We see the shoes. Grain is still, and even with this shot, it's the same clip. I just cut it and scaled in just a little bit so it could just go with the beat and be a focus on the actual check sign. And so you see it, boom, that's with the beat. And then we get that Super 8 again. And actually with this, I kind of did the same thing I did earlier with that scale. So it's kind of like I have a Super 8, even though I don't. Added a little movement, so it looks like I'm trying to zoom in and stuff. Just kind of give a little movement and make it seem a little bit more real. And then again, those mats. So you see the 3 mats. It's the front of the shoe, the back of the shoe, and her in the middle. And then as we keep going, it actually switches off to another shot of the shoe. Same for over here. You have another shot of the shoe, and then you're still focused on her shooting. And so even though the shots are all the same of her, I'm just kind of playing with different ways to show these shots. That's really what it's about. And then these all go really fast, just close-ups of all the different things that you've already seen. But because they go so fast, they're giving you like a different vibe. They're hitting to the beat. And then I'm cutting and I'm showing these photos that she actually took of Kobe when his book came out. And as you can see, even the photos have a little photo mat on those. I got those as well from Tropic Colors website. Shout out to the Buff Nerds. But yeah, I wanted to kind of put, you know, the photo mat on the photos, so it just wasn't just the photos. And then behind it, my old faithful film burns, so where it's just not the photos just being boring, but you see a little more of the gritty and raw movement, you know, that embodies the overall commercial. and then the shot of her at the end. And this was more so, and I loved it because the song is already about a woman being on top, being strong, doing her thing. And so we ended off with Dom as she puts the camera down and like, boom, Nike, right? So that's pretty much it. It was really self-explanatory. I had already knew exactly how I wanted to shoot it and how I wanted to edit it from shooting it. All the graphics, again, are just graphics that I've been, downloading over the years and purchasing. And I have a full edit effects bank now on my external hard drive. And then for the audio, since, she did do it on her phone, I went into Essential Sound and just kind of repaired it and reduced the noise if there were any, playing around with that. But everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. And then what I did was, after I edited the whole thing, I went in and I added the captions. So I always put the captions on its own track all the way at the top, so that if I ever wanted to take them off and not have the captions, I can just do so. And then whenever I want to put them back on, I can. And we definitely wanted the captions or subtitles or whatever you want to call them. We wanted that on for this particular video. But yeah, that was it. And as far as coloring, I talked about this before, I think, in one of my videos or on my Instagram, but I was a huge fan of Lutrify when they first, had these LUTs, and I downloaded some free LUTs from them a while ago, probably like a year or so ago, and they're my old faithfuls, and I basically just kind of threw that on there. So if you want to see the non-color version, this looks a little rough. Definitely on a warmer side. And then I kind of added that LUT. And then, even when I add LUTs, I still have to play around to make sure it fits aesthetically exactly what I want. Every clip is different, so you can't just add a LUT without, editing that LUT to fit your particular clip. So, of course, I changed the temperature, because if I would have kept the temperature at 0, it still was giving me, because it was shot warm, it was giving me more of a warm vibe. I didn't want it to be too warm. You can kind of even see the actual like fade from like more of the bluer tint from outside to the practical being more warm. But it's all subjective, right? Like somebody might have wanted to keep it warm. So it really just depends on what you want. I don't know if there's a right or wrong. I try not to focus so much on that. I try to, do it the best way I can, but I just liked this overall vibe and the kind of like the fade from the practical to the natural light. If you think about it, it's kind of that blue and, that orange and teal vibe that everybody likes, but just playing with it to where it's not, it still feels more realistic and not just like luddish, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I brightened up a lot of the shadows because I didn't want the contrast to be so distinct. But that's, again, everything is so subjective on color. But this is the vibe that I kind of wanted to give. And that's really it. I didn't do too much. Just play with my old faithfuls. The biggest thing for me, because I'm realizing I'm more of a documentary shooter, editors, I just want to focus on story. And that's why it was so important. Even beginning this is defining the music. As you can see, the music that plays under is so much more cinematic. It's slow. There's not too many beats happening, because I want to focus on what she's saying. Then towards the end, after we go black, and she's not talking, this is just all, B-roll. It's really just kind of showing her in her element. So we want that fast. We want, so I love the break in the commercial to kind of show the differences. I thought that was very important, and I automatically thought that when I first started editing this. So music is so important. Pacing is so important when you're a storyteller and you're trying to tell a story. So I always have to pick my music first, and then I'll do the VO. And once I got that, then I was able to just place the clips where they need to go, and it was so seamless in the editing process. But yeah, essentially that was it. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. I kind of want to get back to these editing breakdowns. They're very fun, and sometimes things might be a little more tricky. Sometimes it may be a little more easy like this. And so if you guys like this, let me know. Give this a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.